Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video without any interruptions, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
This briefing will provide information about an officer-involved shooting involving members of the New York City Police Department. You will see relevant video footage and other available evidence that will allow you to gain a better understanding of the events that led up to the incident and what occurred during the incident based on the facts that we know at this time. New York State law and NYPD policy give police officers the authority to use reasonable force under appropriate circumstances. The department's Force Investigation Division conducts a thorough investigation when an officer discharges his or her firearm or in cases of any serious police-related injury or death. Sometimes these investigations can require as much as a year or longer to complete. Our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected, analyzed, and reviewed. Investigators are typically required to interview multiple witnesses several times, review many hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. The images and information you are about to see may be disturbing. When a police officer uses force to take a person into custody or defend against an attack, the images can be graphic and sometimes difficult to watch. There may also be strong language recorded in the videos you are about to see. Viewer discretion is advised, especially for young children and sensitive viewers.
New York City 911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
Someone is chasing me.
What is your location?
I'm on Greenway in Fort Washington Park.
You're at Fort Washington Park?
Yes. There's a regular police patrol normally on this Greenway. There's a guy behind me.
Uh-huh.
When I walked by him, I might have heard a gunshot. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a loud sound. I just walked by him. He started talking trash.
Okay.
I did not respond.
Okay. I just have a question. Where in the park are you near?
Near 165-ish.
Okay. Are you near the playground, the dog run, tennis court?
There's a park right next to me.
Like a playground?
Baseball park.
A baseball field?
Baseball field, soccer field.
Okay. You said you're at 168?
Yes.
Okay. Is the person still following you?
I'm not. I was running. He might have stopped. I'm not a fast runner. He could have caught up with me.
Okay, but do you see the man now?
Yes, he is there.
Where is he?
He is right behind me.
Okay, he's still behind you.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, you said you heard a gunshot?
I'm sorry?
You said you heard a gunshot, sir?
I heard one sound.
Okay, but you don't know if it's a gunshot.
Yes, something like that. One shot.
All right, look, you heard a gunshot, sir.
Yes, I believe that's what he did.
Did you see a gun?
I did not. I walked by him, I did not see, then I heard the bang sound, then I ran.
Help is on the way. I have a few more questions. Is anyone injured at this time?
No. So I'm walking in the opposite direction on the Greenway. If anyone, I should see the police coming this way.
What does the man look like? Is he white, black, Hispanic, Indian, or Asian?
Say that again?
What race is the man?
Well, I'm not sure. He had navy bluish, dark put on, and he was talking like, what the hell are you looking at me for? What are you doing in the park?
Well, he's wearing all gray?
Dave, you got anything further?
He's wearing gray?
No, the navy blue.
No weapon displayed. Possibly just an inside.
Where you guys at, David?
I mean, yeah, have you ever heard a gun before?
Sidewalk. Speaking with the complainant right now.
Sir, you know what a gun sounds like when somebody shoots it? Was it loud enough to be a gun?
We're canvassing north. We're going up to the lighthouse.
Post 3 canvassing with Davis. 10-4.
It happened right here?
Tennis courts, right? Tennis courts, right?
Tennis court, south of tennis court, where you can see the view from the riverside.
Okay.
I was on the path, he was closer to the riverside.
Was the guy like Hispanic, black, what?
And there was no other people, so I had to run.
Was he like a Spanish guy or?
I believe so.
Yeah. Was he little, tall, big, small,
Not tall.
skinny?
That's how the unit raises.
Skinny? Skinny guy?
VP crime reduction,
skinny
which
guy?
post, K? Post 3, post 4?
Tell me what happened exactly.
Go for 3 champion post.
We got the bang.
Okay.
Take your meal for 2026. Enjoy it.
So you never saw a gun. You think you heard a bang.
So you went south, so he went north?
He did not run or anything.
3-4. We're just holding 2. We got a 10-10. Call for help
so he
at
continued up this way,
4907 Broadway.
All right.
So he was right on the left.
They're
Right here?
for that location. 4907 Broadway. Unknown
It's here,
condition. Possible
somewhere?
call for help. And we also got a 1011 commercial bird
There's
coming
people
in.
there. How about that guy?
Jewelry. 1382
Which guy?
St. Nicholas.
On your left.
1382 St. Nicholas between 179 and 180. We got the front right motion going on for commercial bird at RS Jewelry, and the location does have EDP premise.
Okay, I'm gonna you stay in the car, right?
1382 St. Nicholas. Commercial bird 1011 coming in.
Hey, watch your crossfire. Sir, stop. Sir, stop. Hands up. Manos arriba. Manos arriba. Manos arriba. Shots fired. Hey, David, shots fired. No, I can't.
You go work?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Right here, it's right here.
Since they have such a ridiculously long buffer on their cameras, I will skip ahead. Normally try not to interrupt the original video, but a minute of buffer is a long time.
Yo, wash your fucking hands. You hear me? Take your hands out. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Drop the fucking gun. Drop the fucking gun.
Again, I'll skip through the minute of buffering.
It was so dark, so I couldn't see the face.
Well, he's wearing all gray. He's wearing gray.
No, the navy blue.
No, walking gray.
Oh, so when I heard the bang,
I mean, have you ever heard a gun before? You know what a gun sounds like?
We already heard this commentary in the first video.
On tennis courts, right? Black, white guy, skinny? Is he a skinny guy? Exactly.
He went south, so he went up this way.
That's right here? I said he was around here? That's him?
Got the front right
Yeah.
motion going on for commercial bird at RS Jewelry, and the location does have EDP premise.
Okay.
Get your hands out of your pocket. Get your fucking hands out of your pocket. Get your hands out of your pocket. Hey!
He's got a gun? He's got a gun, he's got a gun! Yo, drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Dude, drop it! Dude, drop the gun, dude! Drop the gun! Got a gun? He's out, Steven? He's down? 3 Davis sector of heavy events respond down here. Central, by the tennis court, Central, right before the lighthouse.
Yo, you got the gun?
What's the gun at? Huh? Hold on. Here. You go away? Alright. Right here, it's right here.
Being fired?
343, Central.
Again, I'll skip through the minute of buffering.
Hang on, easy, Ange. Be your flashlight on. Yo, what's up? You alright? Yo. Get your hands out of your pocket. Get your fucking hands out of your pocket. Get your hands out of your pocket. Hey! Let's go. He's got a gun. Hey! Get your hands, get your hands out. Get your hands out. Drop the gun. Hey, drop the gun. Drop the fucking gun. Watch the cross. Yo, drop the gun. Oh shit. He's down. Shots fired. Yo, pick the gun. Yo.
You got it? No, hold on.
Yo, you got the gun?
Get this flashlight.
In the coming weeks and months, the NYPD Force Investigation Division, in cooperation with the prosecutor having jurisdiction over this incident, will continue to investigate and analyze this incident as more interviews are conducted and forensic tests are completed. After the investigation is complete, the facts of the case will be presented to the First Deputy Commissioner's Use of Force Review Board, which will...
All right, let's get into it. So the 911 caller, this guy don't sound like he's very sure of anything. And there are people who are like that out there. Even when they put him in the back of the car and they're going around searching for him, in this first video, you hear him, or you hear the driver trying to talk to him, and he's like, "Have you ever heard a gun before?" And the question that he's asking, like, you can even tell that the officers are kind of having the thoughts of, like, this guy might not know, like, what the hell he's talking about. He seems so unsure. Like, he's sure that, something has happened, but details of what's happened, like, he's unsure of anything. And that happens. There are people who are like that, who seem like they're just constantly aloof in life. But they drive around, and they got him in the back of the car, and they come here to where they're at, and they find him, and then they go to get out of the car, and they say, "Stay in the car." Well, I mean, I know New York's a little weird, but I don't think they're weird enough to keep the back doors of a police car in the unlock mode. So them telling him to stay in the car, like, he should probably already be staying in the car. If it's a cop car, like, there's no way he should be able to open that damn door and get out on his own. That would kind of defeat the purpose of, the whole, cop car backseat thing. That was just something I found funny, them telling him not to go anywhere. I was like, well, he shouldn't.
I know you stay in the car, right? Hey, watch your crossfire.
So out of all of these body cameras, none of these officers had weapon-mounted lights. And in my opinion, I believe that a weapon-mounted light is a necessary piece of equipment. It is a necessary piece of life-saving equipment. All pistols in my opinion, should have weapon-mounted lights on them, even for people who work day shift. Yeah, that's right. Even the people who work day shift should have weapon-mounted lights. Just because a person works day shift doesn't mean that they won't go into a structure or something that has no windows, go down into a subterranean level where there's no daylight getting in there. You would need a weapon-mounted light in that situation. When it comes to wintertime, there are less hours of daytime, and the possibility of having to stay over a shift could have you going into nighttime hours or being called out at nighttime to come in early, whatever. Like, there's always this possibility of being placed in low to no light scenarios, and I believe that when an agency buys their pistols and their holsters for officers, then they should obviously buy the weapon-mounted lights to go on those pistols and have every pistol issued to their officers be all the same. Even if they're going to have officers working plain clothes kind of stuff, I think every damn primary pistol needs to have a weapon-mounted light on it. New York does not seem to have a lot of weapon-mounted lights. Of the videos that I've done of New York, there are so many officers without any weapon-mounted lights. I would say that this is probably a budget thing. They probably just cannot afford to get a weapon-mounted light for every single officer. And there may be some agencies out there that are like that. They can't afford to do it. What's an officer to do in a situation like that? Well, pay out of pocket. Most officers pay out of pocket with little things here and there to make their job easier, make your shift go nicer. And that's just creature comfort stuff that you spend your money on. And think about how much money you spend on stuff just for creature comfort stuff. Why not spend the money on life-saving equipment? So, that's a reality for a majority of law enforcement in this nation anyway. You got to buy your own shit. So if you're buying your own stuff anyway, then, hey, buy a weapon-mounted light as well. Instead of eating out, how about you stop eating out so much and go a few weeks of eating some, sandwiches at work. Make some sandwiches at home, bring it with you to work, eat that instead of eating out so much. Save some money, get that necessary life-saving piece of equipment. Or, if you live in an area and these churches are always wanting to stop by, like buying all stupid shit like fucking donuts and sandwiches, ask them if they'll buy some weapon-mounted lights. Or put it out there on your public information stuff. Talk about needing necessary pieces of equipment and start a GoFundMe. There are people in your community who would love to donate to help you all out. Like I said, if you've got churches and other civic groups who are stopping by and they're like buying you catered food for lunch and all this other shit, buying you the little candies and stuff, and like having their little kids put together these little Ziploc baggies with like lifesavers in it and like these little corny little messages in there, like, here's a lifesaver because you're a lifesaver. If they can spend the money to go buy all that stuff, then surely they can put money towards a fund that would help better equip you and your coworkers. But yeah, weapon-mounted lights are a crucial piece of equipment, and they need to be on pistols, even if you work day shift.
Sir, stop. Sir, stop. Hands up. Manos arriba. Manos arriba. Manos arriba.
So he has to disengage his manual safety.
Manos arriba.
I am not a big fan of service guns having manual safeties on them. I prefer striker-fired pistols that do not have manual safeties on them, like the Glock. The Glock is a great service weapon. It's not the prettiest thing by any means, which some people would say that they think a Glock is sexy looking. I don't really see that. It's just a little too blocky looking, I guess you could say. But it's a workhorse. I mean, it's obviously a workhorse because the majority of law enforcement in this nation utilizes a Glock pistol. They work well, they hold up to abuse, and they just work. They work even when they're fucking broke. So, aside from that, the absence of a manual safety, I think, is important because under stress, you don't want this extra little thing to screw with in a fight. Like that gun, once you put your finger on that trigger and you squeeze, your gun needs to be able to go off without you having to do something to it. Even for your non-gun people, a Glock is easy to train them on. And there are many officers out there who are not gun people. There's many officers that when they get hired, prior to being hired, they didn't have guns at home. There's some who've never held a gun prior to being hired. And when it comes to taking a person who's just not a gun person to begin with and is not going to be a gun person after they get hired, a Glock is an easy pistol to train someone on and for them to utilize under stress, under the stress of being fucking shot at. Unlike other guns with the manual safeties, people can get hung up on that safety. They'll go pull their gun, point it, and they'll pull the trigger and nothing happens, and then they're like, oh shit, the safety, and then they hit that safety on there. You don't want that in the middle of a gunfight. You don't want to pull your gun and pull the trigger and then realize the damn safety's on. So when we talk about this stuff, we're all right now, you were listening and you were using your forebrain to process everything I'm saying. Most of everyone's training when it comes to stuff like concealed carry classes, like it meets that bare minimum requirement of even being considered training, to be completely honest with you. And even in those kind of classes, you are able to utilize the majority of your forebrain. In a fight, your forebrain is not as strong. Your midbrain starts to take over. And midbrain is monkey brain, and the more simpler shit is, the better. And that's why the Glock is good for fighting. It is a simple piece of equipment. It doesn't require much brain power to do anything with it. And when you're in the fight, when it happens and your forebrain starts to shut down and midbrain takes over, it's a whole lot easier and simpler for you to reach down, grab a gun, bring it up, put front sight on target, and squeeze that trigger, and that gun go bang. Versus you do that and you squeeze that trigger and then nothing happens, and then you realize, oh, there's a safety, and then you unclick it. Well, that amount of time that it took you to say, oh, and then try to disengage that safety could be the determining factor in whether or not you get shot in the face or not. So I think that those kind of pistols are the best pistols to use for law enforcement. But that's only because there's going to be a level of training that will make a person at least somewhat proficient with it. Even for regular people, I think that a Glock pistol is good. But there needs to be some substantial training and practice to go along with it. I don't think without any hands-on stuff, I don't think a Glock is a good out-the-box gun for a person who's not going to be shooting a whole lot, because most people will rest their finger on the trigger. And even in training classes, when you're told, don't put your fucking finger on that trigger until you're fucking ready to fire, people still fucking do it. So armed professionals, I think a Glock without safety on it is a good type of pistol to use. People who are going to be brand new shooters and probably will only fire maybe a magazine's worth and then put it back in its damn box or put it in the damn nightstand or whatever and never touch it again. I don't necessarily think that's the greatest pistol for them to use because they're just not going to have enough hands-on time with it. And they're inevitably going to rest their finger on that trigger. And watch the comment section blow up with that one. So this guy, he says, I ain't dropping nothing, I think.
Manos arriba! Shots fired.
Well, guess what? You ended up dropping it. So, you know, it's always entertaining in a way to see these clowns act so damn tough, and then when they get put in their place, they get put in their place. And in this case, he starts crying. So, obviously, there's something wrong with the guy. You know, this could have been a suicide by police kind of incident. I mean, there's not enough there for me to make that kind of educated guess on it. I'd say that possibility exists, but I'd say the more likely thing is this guy's just a dumb piece of shit. Who knows what his mindset was? I mean, it is New York, and the criminals in New York do get away with a lot of stuff up there. Maybe he thought that they would just leave him alone. Maybe he thought that he would very quickly throw it in the water, and then they wouldn't be able to do anything with him, and he just hadn't been able to throw it at that point. Or maybe, you know, he was thinking that, you know, he's going to do something to draw the attention of the police, and then he's going to kill some police. And maybe he was thinking that in his head and thought maybe only one or two would show up and he would have a better advantage, and then bam, 4 of them show up, and now he's like, oh damn, I can't follow through with my plan. I'm not going to be able to succeed very well. And as he was walking, maybe he was thinking about how he was going to carry out that plan. And what I like about this scenario right here, or how this outcome came about, was they tried the talking part. They did. They tried to give him ample time to drop that gun. They gave him several verbal commands. But once they realized those verbal commands were not being followed, this guy was not listening to anything they had to say, and he became defiant and said he was not going to drop it. Well, that's it. There's no more talking. It's time to de-escalate the situation by using force. They tried to de-escalate it at first by talking. They tried to de-escalate with verbals. Did not work. So, they decided to de-escalate it with physical force. Had they continued to sit there and yell and tell him to drop the gun and maybe start pleading with him to drop the gun, perhaps talking too long could allow him to formulate a better plan in his head on how he's going to kill these cops. There's been other videos I've done before where I've talked about too much talking for de-escalation can actually cause a situation to escalate. Some people just can't be talked to at all. And I firmly believe that this is one of them. This is a guy who was not going to be reasoned with in any way. And they did the right thing by using the appropriate amount of force to de-escalate this situation so it would not escalate into something where officers end up getting shot. Or this guy shooting officers, taking off running, and then taking a hostage or hurting other innocent people. So they used the appropriate amount of force. You know, they showed up. They were in uniform. That's use of force right there. They started with the verbal commands. They tried to, and they used both English and Spanish. They tried to get this guy to drop this gun, and he refused. And so the next thing is use physical force. And this guy with a gun in his hand means that the use of deadly physical force is justified. Those officers individually can articulate that they were in fear for their life, that this guy was just going to start shooting them because he was not listening to anything that they were saying. So no problem whatsoever with their use of force. So far, my only problem is a lack of weapon-mounted lights and a lack of long guns. So they're going to a call involving a guy with a gun, but yet they all get out with pistols. Now, I don't know much about New York police. It's very plausible that they don't put rifles in every single car, and so they might not have had a rifle available to them. Could they have had shotguns in their cars? Possibly. I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't know how their cars are set up. They are a very large agency, and I could see how it might be difficult for them to put those things in every vehicle. So there's a possibility they didn't have those things. If they did have those things, then they were wrong not to get one of those out. And that happens so much across the nation that I think it's a problem. I believe there needs to be a change in how police respond to calls with potential gunplay. You know, if there's a call of a person with a gun, then police get on scene, they need to get out with a rifle. Because when it comes to a gunfight, a rifle will stop the fight a lot faster than a pistol will. The only reason why we carry pistols is because they're more comfortable and convenient. You can carry a pistol for 8, 10, 12, 16 hours out of the day and not think much of it. You try to carry a rifle around for 6 hours, that shit sucks. You will notice it. A rifle is not comfortable. It's not convenient. Walking through an office setting, the muzzle's going to hit shit, knock it over. You're going to scrape it up against the wall, bang into the door frames, etc. Trying to get into a car with it, that's cumbersome. It's just not comfortable and convenient to manipulate a rifle or a shotgun all day for the whole shift and carry that thing around. Plus the fact that police are not getting involved in gunfights every single day. Now, across the nation, when you take the totality of numbers, there might be a shooting every day of the week, for a couple weeks here and there, but that's from, coast to coast and involving them all. When you think about, the more localized area, think about the last time your local agency got in a gunfight. And if for whatever reason, by happenstance, your local agency just got into a gunfight yesterday or last week, try to think about beforehand, like how long ago before that was there an officer involved shooting. But the majority of the places, it's far and few between. There's some places they've never had officer involved shootings. The reality of the matter is police and even security can go their entire career and never have to shoot anyone. So there's that also that plays into why officers don't get their rifles out, because they just have not been in gunfights to know that a rifle is the best thing you want in a gunfight. Now, if things were different, if at the local level your agency was getting in the gunfights every damn day, twice a day even, then you would see a drastic change in mindset with them getting out with a rifle versus a pistol. Like, you would see them starting to get out with rifles on every fucking thing. So the fact that police just aren't involved in gunfights every single day, plus the fact that it's more comfortable and convenient to carry the pistols. Those are some of the reasons why you just don't see overall when police respond to calls that they get their rifles out. They always tend to get their pistols, or tend to get out with pistols only. Rifles a lot of times are an afterthought. They're like, oh shit, I need my rifle. Yeah, you should have thought about that before you get out of the car. So they go to detain him after shooting him. So this first video was from the first officer who shot, and then the second video should be from the second officer who ended up shooting. And it was the female officer.
Yo, wash your fucking hands. You hear me? Take your hands out. Put your hands up.
So the way she's holding her light, let me have to back it up because it looks almost like a sword technique.
Yo, wash your fucking hands. You hear me? Take.
No, she's just holding it kind of weird. When I first saw it, I thought she was using the sword technique.
Hands out. Put your hands.
So she's just kind of holding it a little weird. So nothing wrong with her flashlight technique here. She's still illuminating the target, and she's able to get her sights on target as well. When it comes to low light stuff and using a handheld light in conjunction with your handgun, you're not going to be able to establish a good two-handed grip, which is why I say weapon-mounted lights are the best to have, because once you activate that weapon-mounted light, you can have a good two-handed grip on that pistol and increase your chances of having better accuracy. Even when you use the techniques where you put your hand to the other gun, like the cigar technique, you're still not getting a good two-handed grip on that. Or the Harry's carry, your whatever low light tactic you're using, if it's not a weapon mounted light, I don't care what you're using, you're not going to be getting a good two-handed grip. You're essentially just shooting one-handed at that point when you're using a handheld light. But there's different techniques for using flashlights in conjunction with your firearm. First of all, I would recommend getting training on it. So obviously, you know, if you're in law enforcement, you've already been given some kind of training on it. To what degree you've been given training on it, I don't know. Your entity that gave you the training may only focus on a couple different techniques. There's a multitude of techniques out there. If you're just a regular armed citizen, I would highly recommend that you go take a low light course and learn those different techniques. But pick a couple that you like the most. Try them all, and then pick a couple that you want to focus on and retain to practice with, because you can learn them all, but in order for you to become proficient with a technique and it becomes second nature to you, you need to choose at least two of them and just focus on those. That way you have that more trigger time with those techniques and becomes more second nature to you. Whichever ones you choose, just know that it doesn't matter which one you choose, you're still basically shooting one-handed at this point. And the best thing for shooting at night is a weapon-mounted light.
Hands up! Put the gun down! Put the gun down! Drop the fucking gun! Drop the fucking gun!
So the downside, one of the downsides to this technique is there's a lot of splashback on the gun itself. That's just one downside. But you illuminate your lights very well, or your lights, your sight. You illuminate your sights pretty well, and you illuminate your target. So you've got good amount of spill on the target itself, and then you can very easily see your sights and get them lined up the way you want them to. All right, we'll skip can't remember if it was this guy or the fourth one. It might have, could have been the fourth one.
Thank you, for 2026.
Yo. Get your hands out of your pocket. Get your fucking hands out.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun.
Hey!
He's got a gun. He's got a gun. He's got a gun.
All right, so this guy, he's still retaining the light in his hand, but he's not even shining the light at the guy.
Yo, drop the gun. Drop the gun. Drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Dude, drop it. Dude, drop the gun, dude.
He puts the light away. He has enough ambient light there where he can line his sights up on this guy. Of course, we can't see what he can see through the camera, but what we can see from the camera is there's a lot of background light. You see a lot of reflection coming off of the body of water here. So I would imagine that he is probably able to line his sights up on this guy and still be able to get accurate shots if he wants to. He's already identified the guy's got a gun in his hand, so that's one purpose of the light, is to get positive identification of what the person has. He's already identified this guy's got a gun. There's other people there. They got lights trained on the guy. He has put that little handheld light away. There's enough ambient light, and he's gone to a good two-handed firing grip. So if he wants to shoot, he's going to be able to make accurate hits on target.
Drop the gun.
But he doesn't shoot.
He's down. 3 David Sector Bravo. Have you ever spawned down here?
We'll go to the last guy.
Let's go. He's got a gun. He's got a gun. Hey! Yo, what's up? You alright? Yo. Get your hands out of your pocket. Get your fucking hands out of your pocket. Get your hands out of your pocket. Hey! Let's go. He's got a gun. He's got a gun.
So probably the same thing for this guy. There's enough ambient light here and other people shining lights on him. He has a good sight picture, and he can get a two-handed grip on his pistol and not have to have a weapon-mounted light. And not have to have his handheld light out. He can probably see enough to put sights on target.
Oh shit. He's on. Shots fired. Pick it up.
You got it? No, hold on.
Yo, you got the gun?
Get this flashlight. Get this flashlight to me.
In the coming weeks and months, the NYPD
Okay, so that was not the person I was
Drop
looking
the
for.
fucking gun.
Shots fired. Just 3 David, shots fired.
Yo, you got the gun?
No, I can't.
You go work?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Right here, it's right here.
Drop the fucking gun.
Yeah, skinny. 3 David Sector Bravo. Dude, drop the gun, dude. Drop the gun. Got a gun? He's out, Steve. He's down. 3 David Sector Bravo. Have you ever spawned down here?
Okay, it was this guy. All right. I didn't pause right. Okay, so you see what happens here. So he has gun in one hand. He's bringing radio up. He's tried to adjust the volume with the gun in the hand. Now he's pointing his fucking gun at his co-workers' backs here. Like, that's a no-no. That is horrible muzzle discipline right there. You know, when your hand has a gun in it, that's the only thing that damn hand needs to be doing is working that gun. You don't need to be holding the gun in your hand and then trying to mess around with other shit. That's how negligent discharges happen. That's how people get shot unnecessarily. That's how people die when they don't need to die. So in this case, you know, they're hands-on with them. That gun, if he's at this point, he should have holstered that gun and then used a two-handed grip, use his second hand to fiddle with the radio the way he need to. This is also another argument on why lapel mics are an essential piece of life safety equipment. He would not be in this situation fiddling around with a fucking radio with one gun in the hand and holding the radio in the other hand. If he'd had that fucking radio on his belt with a lapel mic going to his shoulder to his shirt, he could very easily, while still holding the gun in one hand, reach down to the radio, adjust the volume knob, and then bring his hand back up and hit the mic button and talk. This right here is completely unnecessary. He's pointing his gun to the back of his partner's head, essentially, or to their back, one of the two, and it's completely unnecessary to do this. If you got a gun in your hand, that's all that hand needs to be doing is working that gun. It don't need to be holding the gun and doing other shit. And lapel mics are a necessary piece of life safety equipment. So after they pop them, they get them cuffed up, and this is where the cameras end at. So a lot of people will complain about the police handcuffing people after they've been shot, more so when the people appear to be unconscious or appear to be dead. The reason why police handcuff people after they've been shot is for safety reasons. The people can start fighting again. Even people who appear to be unconscious or dead, they may be incapacitated, and the incapacitation may only be temporary. They may be able to wake back up and start fighting again. And if you get your hands cuffed behind your back, it's a whole lot harder for you to fight when your hands are cuffed behind your back. Medical gear. So I always believe that medical gear should be carried on you. First line medical gear. That way it can be utilized on you and your teammates. So if this guy did get one lucky shot off, how long would it take for an ambulance to get back there to where they're at? I don't know. I'm not from this area. But New York is a big city. So what is their ambulance response time? In this park that they're at, are they at the outermost edge of this park? Would it take a minute for the ambulance to get to where they're at? Is there an easily identifiable way for the ambulance to get back there? I don't know. But it's plausible that it could take a minute for that ambulance to get back there to where they're at. So having medical gear on you is important. That way you're able to render self-aid to yourself and or render aid to a teammate. And then on top of that, inside your vehicle, you can have your second line gear or your supplemental gear that can supplement the gear that is on your body that you've used on yourself or your partner, or it can be its standalone kit that you can end up using on anyone else. And in this case, they're going to be rendering medical aid to this guy. So by them having medical equipment in their car, they could get that out and start rendering medical aid. Because again, the same thing comes into play with him. How long is it going to take an ambulance to get all the way back there to where they're at? Not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.